Hi, you guys. I'm just gonna be checking. One second. Oh, all my stuff are on. One second, y'all. Okay. I literally got up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Just gonna test out the audio real quick. Okay, it's working, y'all. All right. I can hear myself perfectly fine. Okay, so this is the video that I have been dreading to make. I really did not want to make this video at all. But I think that in general it's only right because I know for, the future, this is something that I would want to document. I'm hoping I can only be on here for like 20 minutes or less. Um YouTube owes me a lot of money, y'all. I will just say that. When I did my live stream for election day, they paid me, in my opinion, sort of correctly, but there's been a couple glitches and I've been meaning to, email YouTube. And so I've kind of been refraining from putting a lot of energy into this platform because I feel like YouTube needs to get their shit together. So will I do a Patreon or something of that nature? Probably, because I don't have to be as, quote unquote professional. I can kind of just say whatever I want. And over the years, the creator studio has changed a lot, guys. And as usual, they rob content creators from a lot of shit. And it's just sickening. And I feel like, until that was gonna be quote unquote resolved, I really don't wanna, pour my heart out on here. If it's, not gonna be if it's not fair. You see what I'm saying? So what I was doing, guys, was I was building up TikTok, because TikTok is much, younger than YouTube. I've put in a lot of effort on YouTube and I don't regret it. I'm very happy to be here, still. But excuse me, guys, because this is my live reaction and I got up at 3 o'clock in the morning to pee. I got my period yesterday, okay, aka like, the thing that ladies get, your menstrual cycle. Yeah, I got my menstrual cycle, you know, yesterday. Now it's Sunday, so I got it on Saturday officially. And you ladies out here know how that goes. When you're on your cycle, your body begins to alert you like something's coming, like buckle up. And so naturally, you know, taking care of myself, you get that. For men, they probably wouldn't understand, but for women, you definitely understand. Like you get that sensation, and sometimes just want to like make sure that you're okay. You want to check and see what's going on. So literally right on the dot, I got up at 3 o'clock in the morning, which is why I have my sleeping mask on. Like I literally was sleeping. You know what I'm saying? And I know a lot of people out here have been saying how they've not been sleeping and they're not getting any sleep because since they've heard about this whole Israel Iran thing, people have said that they're not sleeping at all. Now, I can't relate to that because in order to function, clean, cook, work, exist, like I have to be able, to get an adequate amount of sleep. And there's so much I have to catch YouTube on. TikTok has like a lot more videos about this than YouTube for now. Um, I would have to check, you know what I'm saying, like my AdSense account and see what they've been paying me. Because my time is not free, but regardless of that, and yeah, there is ways to support, guys, in the box below and everything else and on my channel screen because like, you know, it's it was 3 o'clock in the fucking morning, so now it's 3:46 a.m. So as was saying, I kind of like went to bed early because I was trying to like take care of my health, take care of myself, and I got up to use the bathroom, as we say, the loo, and two scrolls down on TikTok, and I see this thing in big red writing, not the picture that you guys see in the green screen, like an actual like live, live stream, and it had all these headlines running across it. And it was saying breaking news, US strikes Iran or Iran. There's proper pronunciation. They get on our case if we don't pronounce their name right. So I'm thinking it's Iran. And of course, the first thing I did was make a TikTok. So I made a TikTok to upload to my Twitter. And, that's doing really well. Like TikTok is doing pretty well for me as well. And here we are. You know what I'm saying? Like, here we are. So, like, I literally woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning and saw this bullshit. And really, what I want to say, what I really, really want to say is I warned you guys. And I think one of the reasons why, guys, I wasn't on here as much when everything was going down, at least not live until tonight or this morning, I should say, because it is the morning time, is because I felt like I was warning you guys already. Like my subscribers from 2016 now to 2025, like you guys saw my videos from the election. Like a lot of my videos have quote unquote gone viral. I've done really well, especially when I did election night. That video is still up to my knowledge. And I live streamed from when I went to go vote. I need to wash my hands, guys. Chocolate is like a girl on her period's medicine. I need to go wash my hands, guys, because my hands feel gross. 1 second. So I'm just gonna have to take my computer with me because I need to wash my hands. I'm on my fucking computer, guys. This is not a joke. Actually, I have my phone right here. Okay, well, as long as I just put the camera up. Yeah, I had to. Oh, I. God, these times are rough on a lady. And shout out to all those pregnant girls out here who are crazy enough to still be having kids at the fucking end of the world, because we clearly are in the end times. And these people, that's a whole other video, that are stuck on 3D shit. And the world's literally going to hell in a handbasket, and y'all are still popping out kids. It's fucking beyond me. But anyway, so back to what I was saying. I think I'm gonna have to go soon because my face feels a bit puffy, and I think that, like I said, this is like technically my first or second day of my period, and I really got to take care of myself. And that's another reason why I really wasn't on here much, because I was putting in a lot of legwork on TikTok, and because it's, a newer platform, and I never got a chance to build up a TikTok because for those who have followed me and know the deal, whenever an app is like kind of like a hive, I get scared because I feel like, are they doing something to people? Is it addicting? Is whatever. And so I was very cautious because I knew that Vine was very similar, and they closed down, Vine. Some people don't even know what Vine is. That's how young they are or inexperienced they are. But yeah, Vine was before TikTok. Those who know. Anyway, y'all, oh, this is just like crazy. So another reason why I kind of was not on here bombarding you guys was because, um, for those who don't know, well, now you're gonna know. Let me take out my AirPod because you guys can hear me. I can hear myself. I have different monitors here, so I could see myself perfectly fine. Um, this is just crazy. I'm so tired. Guys, I'm so tired of the breaking news and the breaking news that's bad. So, in a nutshell, I told you guys all election season that I had a very bad feeling. Um, in fact, I'm just gonna repost that video. Frankly, um, I'm like literally just gonna go back and repost those videos that I did with you guys live because all those videos were live, just like this one. Can we put it on the table? Because I don't want it to be like, hello, 1 second. 1 second, guys. Oh, okay, I'm back, guys. Yeah, I'm gonna get off here soon because, you know, there's nothing nice for me to say. Um, I told you guys, I mean, like I said, I tracked everything, right? I literally like tracked everything. And those videos did incredibly well. And I told you guys that this would end in tears, you know. And just so you guys know who are my subscribers, like, and have, found my channel from a little while ago, those who haven't and you're new, welcome, welcome in. But there's those of you where, you've been me what I've been saying. You know what I'm saying? Like I've just like my videos speak for itself. I told you guys to get a second passport. I told you guys to, I mean, and I'm human, you know what I'm saying? Like, not in a spiritual sense, but you guys get what I'm trying to say. Like, I'm a person just like you guys. And I genuinely, sadly, I'm not shocked. And I just think that the people that voted for him, who are doing all this tough talk and all this sexist, racist talk and put this guy in, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know Elon, I mean, there's so much to update you guys, but I mean, you guys already see it yourselves. Like, Elon, came out and said that he would have not won if it wasn't for him and all this other shit. I gotta take this other allergy medicine, guys. Excuse me. This allergy season this year is really bad for a lot of people. So I've just been focusing. If I'm not on here, guys, or on TikTok, I'm living real life just like the rest of you guys out here. And, my health has been my priority. Ew. My well-being. My well-being has been my priority. And for those who are new, all you literally have to do is go back to my live stream that I think was at least 3 hours, literally on election night, literally. And from my recollection, it had over 18,000 views and counting. And I've already said it all, I mean, that's genuinely how I feel. I already told you guys that this would be the end if he got back in. And it is the end, guys. That's what you're feeling right now is the end of the world. Um, and possibly World War III, which is even sadder. But this is not surprising to me. And it's not surprising to a lot of you guys out here either. A lot of you guys out here are not surprised either. Like a lot of you guys out here are not surprised either. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, um, one second, let me put a few more tabs on this. Oh my God. But, this is like a summary of what I'm feeling right now that I'm telling you guys for the record is like, you know, we had the No Kings protest, and I heard a figure of about, what, minimum 11 million people all over the world, protested against a plethora of things that Trump um, basically stands for. And I have personally seen people of all nationalities that, are American citizens come out and say that they do not believe that he won fair and square. They believe that Elon, as we all know, with Starlink, um, helped him in more ways than one. Elon was doing sweepstakes. Elon was bribing people on his behalf. Um, it's almost like Kamala had no chance against that kind of machine, literally machine. And when I was looking back on it, I realized that it was the same matchup, right? Like when it was Trump versus Hillary, then it was Trump versus Kamala. It's damn near the same thing. It's like, that matchup doesn't result to winning. And if it does result to winning and they've rigged it or something else has happened, well, it's still the same thing, putting Trump against a woman and him getting the result he wants. And when I peep that with Kamala, like after the fact, I'm like, wow, this is the same dynamic that Hillary lost in. So, I mean, yeah, I said everything on election night of 2024. I've I made count. I've lost track of how many videos I made last year, November, and it took a lot out of me. You know what I'm saying? To know that in that moment, to a lot of people, it would sound crazy, but it wouldn't because a lot of people, as I've found out on TikTok as well as YouTube, are spiritually inclined. A lot of people are actually more spiritually inclined than they led us to believe. And a lot of people out here have been getting, outer body experiences, dreams, visions, um, premonitions, epiphanies, downloads. I mean, people are really proactive on different platforms and some both. Like I'm proactive on a number of them, you know what I'm saying? And everybody is saying the same thing. They call it the 3 a.m. club. Let me put that also in the tags. Um, or the 4 a.m., 3 a.m. club where people were saying that, the night of the election, everybody was up, you know what I'm saying? Was up and felt like there was something that's gone wrong. And now we're seeing why, now we're seeing why. And then recently, I don't know if you guys saw this, I'm sure you guys have. Now World War III is trending under politics on Twitter, as well as the BOM word, ing, is trending, sadly. Um, you know, then Elon recently put out a lot of weird tweets talking about that he still has the ships, something to do with ships, and, leaving some breadcrumb trails there too. So it's all by design, you know what I'm saying? You could even tie this into, I'm gonna put celebrity bunkers, right? Like all those celebrities. Once again, let me put this here. All those celebrities, you know, building bunkers, between probably way before 2024, but that they showed us, right? That they showed us from 2024, they were showing us a bunch of celebrities building bunkers. And so now it's all connecting, right? Like, at least to me, I think the cat's out of the bag, guys. The cat is out the bag. And, everything that we thought was weird and kooky and why they doing that and why they saying that, well, now we know why. Because these people that are not like us are looking for ways to get the fuck out of here, and whether you believe in, excuse me, guys, I did not have these itchy eyes before I woke up. Um, I don't know if like if my eye mask slipped out of my eyes, and I don't know what I did, guys. I don't know what I did, but I've never had my eyes, or one of my eyes at least, is itchy. I think something probably slipped in. If you have hair products or something or whatever, and then you're rolling around, which what I was doing, I was sleeping, and then you go on two cameras, your body's bound to get agitated, so it's not giving me much time to be up. But anyway, y'all, it's all there. You know what I'm saying? It's all there. And there's so many messages. There's so many messages that I uploaded of last year that I were, to me, was my warning to you all. It was my goodbye warning to you all that this is a lot worse than people think. And it only took, a couple months, less than a year for everything to fall apart. And that's what you're seeing now. So my reaction was getting up to take care of myself. You know what I'm saying? Getting up to check my pad, to my eyelashes are long. It's probably why it's probably why it's sticking out. And wash my face. Like, I was, trying to take care of myself, because the first and second day, for ladies out here, the ladies know, like, it can be rough, and luckily it wasn't that bad, but it still affected my body, it still affected my body. And I just did 2 scrolls, 1, 2, and saw the news, and I'm like, this is just typical. And sadly, under a lot of Republicans, I hate to make it this a party thing, but this is just a fact, like, under Republicans, we tend to have wars, going back to Bush, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is very, very eerie to back to other older Republican administrations. And it's not in the best interest of the people. It's in the best interest of the government. It's in the best interest of those who hold stock and weapons and all types of shit like that. But it's not in the benefit of the working class people. The working class people who have to, and more than one nation. You know what I'm saying? The working class people in Iran and in Gaza, here in Europe and Africa and Asia, like, it's the citizens who suffer. It's the people that suffer. It's not people who are ultra wealthy who can, as Elon said, go on a spaceship to a different fucking planet. I mean, we can't do that, unless he volunteers us for free. We're not going on that spaceship with him, guys. And it could and he could be talking in a spiritual sense or a physical sense, because in a way with the rapture, it kind of sounds the same, you get some tissue. Yeah, I was not like this, guys, until I got up. So apologies, but it was 3 o'clock in the morning. And I think when I turned on the light, because I was so shocked, I wasn't shocked, but I was so disappointed, that, the first thing I said to myself was, but I said to the audience is, that bastard. Because, his favorite go-to is 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks, right? And that's not what happened. Everybody who knows anything was saying that he was going to do this. Literally everybody said that it wasn't going to take 2 weeks. And the 4th of July is coming up. So Americans are not that gullible. Like they can kind of connect the dots. And so, yeah, it's not surprising. It's just, to me, it's just, you know, I don't even know if there's even a word for it. Like, after I saw it, I just thought to myself, can we ever have a night's sleep, a night full of sleep without a breaking news headline? And I'm sure there is some people who, support Trump, or maybe they're Republicans watching me. Maybe they don't support everything that Trump does, but I have to say humbly, a lot of people thought that things are bad under Biden, you know what I'm saying, or could be bad under Kamala presidency, and that's proving to be false right now, and I saw people, you know, in live chats and different things say that, at least under Biden, they had a good night's sleep. And that's just so sad because it's true, like a lot of us thought a lot of things under Biden, but at least we were able to sleep at night, and not worry about so many different things. And now people literally in America, I mean, especially if you have a TikTok account, you just go on TikTok and you'll see it. There's probably millions of people who are saying how they can't sleep. They've not been able to sleep, or they're going to stay up all night because they're scared or they're worried. And I'm not just saying this, like these are actual human beings who around the world are saying, I can't sleep. And by the grace of God, literally, I don't have that problem, because like I said, even before the pandemic, from 2017, 2018 in particular, if you go back to my different playlists, I have videos of, pre-warnings to now. Like I've said things from 2016 and 2017 and 2018 that were for today. I remember I did one video that was, I think, 2020 and beyond or something like that, and that was like over 34,000 views. And a lot of what's happening now I said back then. So on a personal level, I'm not surprised. And a lot of my followers and people who support me are not surprised either. You know what I'm saying? Like we're not surprised. We're sad, we're disheartened, we're frustrated. I think right now where I'm using is disappointed. I'm disappointed that after all these decades and all this hurt on this planet, we're still going back to barbaric ways, we're still going back to barbaric behavior. War to me is barbaric, when you're taking the lives of young men and women and children and pets and babies and the elderly. It's gross. You know what I'm saying? It's gross. And sadly under Trump, it feels like we're always going backward. We're never moving forward, and they literally mock, the word progressive. That just gives you a clearer picture. They think the word progressive or left is or woke is an insult. You know, that just gives you a picture of how they think. They think like we're in the fucking medieval times. And this is why we have war now. And so people that were concerned about, gas prices are now concerned about their life, you know. Now people are concerned about egg prices and if they're going to even stay alive, versus gas prices. Okay. So the problems we had under Biden were a cakewalk compared to Trump. And, like I said, guys, after the first 1 to 3 days, and I have a lot to tell you guys. I mean, like I said, TikTok has gotten a lot more from me about this because, like I said, for those who just joined, I've been building up my TikTok platform because a lot of people on there are very spiritually attuned, and I didn't know that. You know what I'm saying? Like I was fearful of TikTok because I thought that it was an addicting app, an addiction driven app. And with everything in life, you have to have moderation, you have to have discipline. And so it's a very well designed app. I see why it's been banned so many times. And um, you know, a lot of times, you can find videos and different things on there that you wouldn't see anywhere else, that you wouldn't even see on YouTube, quite frankly, you know, and with some like really good information, like really, really good information. So I'm very disappointed, to say the least. Um, Sadly, it's just everything that I saw and that I not just predicted, but that I felt would happen. And it is still very sad, even though I was right, it's still very sad to see that it's got to this point. It's actually very sad to see us get to this point, in the good old 2025. And I expected more from the world. I thought that I was hoping the world could move away from its barbaric behavior. And it just seems like, especially with a Republican president, there is no progress in that department. You know what I'm saying? Like, nothing about war, nothing about war is good. Nothing about war is good. It's not what we should be as a human species, as a creature on this planet. The human race. Um, we should be better than this. And so, if someone was to ask me, how do you really feel from, you know, one second, my nail, I live stream myself. It's just really, if you guys realize, it's really just this eye. I think I probably like, yeah, I think something just probably slipped in before, but, 1 second, guys, let me just get some water. Well, hopefully this doesn't take an hour more, but and if I get a chance, I'll upload that video, but I don't know because um I've just been trying to take care of myself, like I said. So, I don't like to be stuck on a computer all day. But I'll just say this, and maybe I think the video will be good enough to finish. And I'm trying to find a way to say this without this sounding crazy, but I mean, the times we're living in are crazy, sadly. Um, so This is not from tonight, okay? This was from the night that the attack happened. Um, I literally was preparing to go to sleep, okay? This was the night before. This was the night before that the attack first happened, like, before it was back and forth between Iran and Israel, right? I saw the word Iran trending, okay? This is where it all started. I saw the word Iran trending, and my intuition's spot on. So I knew that if I clicked on it, it'd be problems, right? So it was in and out, on the what's happening tab. If for those who have a Twitter account, they have a little tab that says what's happening, right? And depending upon what's trending or what's in the news, the hashtags will change. So I saw it, and then I really didn't perceive it. It's almost like when you're like I said, like if you're on TikTok or any other social media app, you're just scrolling past. You're not really putting energy into it, right? So I saw it like for a couple seconds and then something else, replaced it. And it was probably around 8 or 9 o'clock at night, or okay, I'm thinking between 8 and 9 or 11 o'clock. I don't know why I'm saying 11 o'clock, but it was past 8, okay? And I felt like this, how can I say this? I felt like this washing of peace, I felt like this yeah, like this washing of just calmness. And it was almost like my higher self was saying to me, "Okay, we're gonna meditate. We're gonna, listen to a good sermon or something, and we're gonna, do some breathing exercises to get our body settled for bed, and then we're gonna go to sleep." And I was hyper aware, I was hyper conscious of this, and on a typical night, this does not happen, okay? Yeah, okay, every now and then I can slip into a meditative state, but it wouldn't be like I can hear my higher self saying, "Okay, this is what you're gonna do," like, it was really, really like almost like an outer body experience, okay? This was the night before the attack, okay? The first attack, and I slipped off to sleep. It was such a beautiful slip into the sleep state that I didn't even know that I fell asleep. I had no idea, okay? And I'm probably gonna have to upload this video because it's a story time. It's a whole dream, outer body experience, vision, whatever you wanna call it. I don't even know if there's I'm sure there's a term. I'm sure there's a correct term for it, but I don't know it at the top of my head right now because it's so early in the morning and this is live breaking news. But it was such a sleep transition into sleep that I didn't even realize what was happening. I'm honest to God. Like, I had no news on my computer. I had no Al Jazeera news. There was nothing in my room or on my computer or on my phone, anything to do with the end of the world, a world war. And there was nothing. It was just music playing, and I'm sure I had like a spiritual sermon or something in the background, like I always do before I go to sleep. Excuse me. And that was that. That was literally that. And that night, that same night that the attack broke out, okay, slipping into the morning time, like past 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, I had a experience where I was shown extreme weather and chaos breaking out across the world. I was shown different areas, and it was like the end of the world. I mean, that was basically what it was. It was just showing catastrophe after catastrophe. And I was shown something to do with New Zealand and Australia. And as we all know, on the contrary, there's been a lot of people who are, professionals and experts in different areas of nuclear war who say that there are certain countries and regions in the world that you can go to, right? that will not be as targeted. And it was showing me a lot of different things. And then, when I woke up, it was like what, 6:59 in the morning, 6:59 in the morning. Um, Between getting up, it was like, this is once again before, this is still before I saw anything with Iran, excuse me, versus Israel. I got up and something said to me, I need to write this down. I need to write this down, or I need to record it or do an audio recording. It was just like it was like this feeling of force, not pressure, because it didn't feel very pressured. It felt beautiful, actually. It felt like a calm water with a swan on the lake. It just felt like it just flowed, it just flowed so naturally. And it was a natural evolution of like, okay, you had this experience, you saw this, you were told this, you were given information about this. Now, what are you going to do about it? Now you're going to make a video, because naturally, my thinking was, especially with TikTok, is I can do a green screen, I could show different maps and stuff, and I could talk while I'm giving details. And that's exactly what I did. I made a TikTok and it did very well. And a lot of people seemed to relate to what I was saying. And that was, a very good feeling, because I felt like, okay, I'm not the only person out here that's getting these downloads or these dreams or these whatever you want to call it. Like, we're getting, these pre-warnings of what's coming. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're being shown what's going to go down. You know what I'm saying? And then literally after I finished making that video, I went back to, I think it was was it Twitter? I think I went back to Twitter and I saw the headline, and the headline said um, that there was a war between Iran and Israel, and that and then I saw Iran was trending again, and now it was like at like 800,000 plus tweets. So now it was like, on the main front, because before I went to bed, it was like hardly any people were talking about Iran. So between the time that I saw it and then me passing it, my mind didn't even think about it. And keep in mind, on Al Jazeera on YouTube, like the Al Jazeera network, the Middle Eastern, I think it's like a Middle Eastern centered like news station, right? Um, there was like 36,000 plus people watching it, just watching the missiles. Okay, while I was sleeping. So that just gives you a picture, like this was happening while I was sleeping and getting all these downloads, and then when I saw that it was because of a war, I said, "Oh my god, so this is really it." You know what I'm saying? So, there's this phrase that had nothing to do with religion per se, or nothing to do with belief. It's just a God thing, Like a lot of people that, do believe in God and are, spiritually in tune, they've been saying that they've been getting these kind of dreams, they've been getting different kind of information leading up to this. And so I had the same experience. I had this, I mean, if I go into detail right now, it would take me another hour, and I gotta go back to bed, guys. I'm sorry. Like, it's 4 o'clock in the morning, but I will upload it so you guys can see what I said right after I got up. It's all well documented, so don't worry. But anyway, a little synopsis. I saw extreme weather. The power grids were down. Elevators were not working. There was extreme flooding. There was clearly an energetic weather interference of epic proportion. That's where I'll put it. It was like the end of the world. Like I said, I mean, that's the best phrase I can use. I mean, it was like seeing the end of the world, and it was all over the world. I was shown different places all over the world. Um, it was pandemonium, but in a weird about way. Once again, I was very calm. Like, I was just like right now, like I was very secure and calm and knowing in how I feel, like I knew how I felt. So it wasn't like I was scared. It was more so of like I was being shown or put in these different places in different countries, and I was being shown people in pandemonium. I was shown people having certain kind of conversations, and it wasn't normal. It wasn't, it wasn't like a normal day. It was like, things are happening, you know what I'm saying? And for me to have such a personal, um like I said, the word dream does not do it justice. The word dream does not do it justice. I would say it's closer to an outer body experience than a dream, because I was there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was there, and I don't get things like that. I get them often, but I don't get them in terms of like every day. For me to have that level of insight, a bird's eye view, if you will, being dropped into the actual scenario, dropped into the actual country, seeing people talking at different, seeing everything happen, is like I'm already there. It's like I'm literally already there. And that's what it felt like. And then so to wake up and see that there was an actual war that just got escalated, that included missiles and people perishing, of course I'm gonna say, what the fuck? Of course I'm gonna say, oh my God, like, my as I said in the video when I did the recording, I said, my spirit team, I call it spirit team, spirit guide, spirit team. Those who know, those who don't, research it. But I literally said my spirit team is on it like SWAT, because before something happens, my spirit team is already on it, guys. And that's how I'm even able to make these kind of videos for you guys, and go live as I do, because some people have certain spiritual gifts, other people can handle it. I think it's about what you can handle. I think that, if you're watching me and you're somebody saying, well, I don't get those kind of dreams, or I don't get those, it's because you're probably not ready. You know what I'm saying? Like, some things are only activated or only happen to you or only shown to you when you're ready. And if you're not ready, that door is not going to open. And so, because I've had this experience with God for so many fucking years, over a decade, basically, practically, it's not a scary thing, because I'm sure people hearing what I'm saying are going to say, oh my God, were you scared? No. Like I said, it's like a covering. It's like, as I was being dropped there and shown things, obviously, clearly I knew that I had to get up and make the message. You know what I'm saying? Like, clearly I knew that from that pinpoint, for a later date, they gave that to me, because I would have to make videos like this. I would have to, tell people my personal life, you know what I'm saying, that maybe they're going to certain places in the world that they maybe shouldn't go there, because there's going to be planned attacks, and there's going to be this and that. So those who are just, observers, right? And they see people like myself and others talk like this and share these what they call open heaven or whatever experiences. It's very natural. The best way I could put it's very natural. Just like, for lack of a better term, they say someone's a psychic or whatever, which people that are more so Christian don't like that term. Some Christians are not bothered by it, but there's other people that, are in certain religious faith groups or whatever, and they don't like that term. They don't like the term crystal ball or psychic or none of that. But that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, some people literally are legit psychics. You know what I'm saying? Whether you think it's from a dark or good, doesn't matter. They're psychics, and they have this ability, and it's natural. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't feel weird to me. Like, it's just like it's like second nature. So that's why, when I went live with you guys on election night and was shaking my head, and if you go back, you'll see, which is, it's probably all, it's all still there, as you'll see. Um, I had dreams prior to that too. Remember, I had all these dreams prior to the actual election day, and those videos did fairly well. And those videos luckily got out there in the algorithm, which these videos don't always do, but when they do, great, because it's meant to be. If not, then it's for a certain audience. I don't stress it anymore. I don't even worry anymore. And I was so dedicated, and I still am. I was when I get the green light, when I get the green light to tell you guys certain things, it's because I'm supposed to, and if I don't share every little thing, um, depending upon what platform it is, it's because it's not meant to be there. Maybe it'll be there in the week or so, I don't know, but like, I don't I don't concern myself with time anymore. I don't concern myself, guys, anymore with, you know, with time, because time is an illusion, and those who have been assigned to hear, to see, to deliver certain messages, um, that's just what it is. And I'm one of those people. You know what I'm saying? I was clearly one of those people that were chosen to do this in this lifetime. And it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, they say many are called, few are chosen. Well, that's what this is. And it's an honor to be somebody, in your lifetime, that you're be saying to yourself that you've watched and listened to. And but my warnings remain. I told you guys to get your passports. I told you guys that if you don't have a dual citizenship and you have somewhere else in mind, to get your visas, to get your documents in order. That was not a bluff. That was not a joke. That was real life. And so that's why I gave YouTube a little bit of space, because I felt like I wanted you guys to focus on those messages, right? And this message today, but I wanted you guys to take heed of what I've been saying for over 5 years. And everything I've been telling you guys for 5 years is happening now. So do I feel vindicated? I mean, it's more of like relief. It's almost like it's almost like when you've ordered something in the mail and all the internet trackers tell you it's going to be here in an estimate of 4 days, and you know it takes seven, right? But it's still on its way. That's kind of how this feels to me, is like these are things, and not just with this conversation, but other topics that have been happening amongst, people, other topics that people have been talking about all over the world. These are epiphanies and information and downloads that I've had for years, some even decades, and well, I haven't lived that long, so it can only be 2 decades. I'm still in my 20s, but um over a decade, I should say, because then I would have been like 14, 12 years old. But yeah, I mean, still, yeah, I mean, I've, you know a lot of things coming out now I've been waiting for literally a decade for. So for me, it's just um sombering. It's more of like a relief than a vindication, because whenever I told you guys about things to come, whenever I've warned you guys, whenever I've had urgent messages or whatnot, I never doubt what I tell you, ever. I've never doubted anything I've told you guys, from the royal families to the election to, you know, doomsday kind of shit, like certain political topics. Like, everything I've ever said on camera on any platform, I've meant, and I've wholeheartedly knew was going to happen. So this is not surprising to me. It's just more so for me disappointing that humanity is still in the dark ages. You know, we've not progressed as a species, is how I feel. And that's more disappointing than anything, is that we are still, even that this jargon's even in our realm of understanding. Even the word war is just crazy to me. Like, we're in 2025, and the debates, the the kind of issues we're having, guys, you would think this would be for like the fucking medieval ages, and that's why I feel right now, is I'm just more so disappointed in humanity, that we've not moved past attacking each other, you know, in a spiritual sense. If you want to say that we're all one and we're all connected, then why are we hurting each other? Why are we fighting over resources that God gave us all so freely? Every resource you could think of, God gave us all. Keyword is all. And the only time these things happen is when people are fighting over resources, territory, or pride. They're fighting for something external that we don't have power over. We and this is what I think. well, one of the things I've realized is that we think we have, control over a lot of things, or if we just pray hard enough, this won't happen, and that's not the case, guys. There's some things that are predestined, pre-written, and there is a lot of things about life that, in my humble opinion, you cannot change. It doesn't matter how hard you pray, it's still gonna happen, and yeah, maybe your prayer may help, save your child or maybe yourself. I don't know, but it's not gonna save the world. The world, I mean, if World War III kicks off the way that everybody keeps coming across within regard to this situation, I mean, then what? You know? Then what? Because then it doesn't matter how much you cry, how much you pray, um, you know, the war will still continue. And maybe if you pray, you're thinking to yourself, if I can just pray hard enough, um, this will happen and that will happen. And that's not necessarily true, guys. This is a collective karmic thing. You have to understand that. So don't waste your breath. Don't waste your breath. At least to my subscribers, don't waste your breath, you know, um, burning yourself out, you know, overly obsessing. Like, I've not even watched the press conference. Like, I saw it live, sadly, but I didn't see it when it started because I was sleeping, like I said, and some people are up all the time. I mean, speaking of TikTok, there's some people on there that I happen to come across, and I'm guessing it's their job because they're never off camera. I don't know how the hell they do that. I mean, and these are like grown adults that like do these mock-up radio shows and whatever else the heck they do, and they never sleep. I don't know what people are doing. I don't know, like, I don't care to understand the gravity in which is happening right now. I kinda don't care, honestly. So, for me, it's just like, when I see other people, suffering because of this, I mean, over here in the States, I mean, the Western world, I should say, and they're talking about they can't sleep. Well, imagine the people in Iran, you know? Imagine the kids in Gaza, you know? We're privileged to not be in a war zone yet, but guess what we are now, you know? America, Trump, his people, they've done this, and so whatever comes after this, we can't pray that away. We can't beg God to do anything. It's not in our control. What I'm trying to say is there's some things that are just not in our control, and we can relieve ourselves of the shame and the sadness, and we can pray, but it doesn't mean, guys, for those who are just draining themselves, it doesn't mean that anything's gonna stop happening. It doesn't mean that tragedy is gonna stop. It doesn't mean any of those things. Sadly, it doesn't mean any of those things. So, in a nutshell, that's why I'm telling you guys, I do sleep. You know what I'm saying? And I don't buy into insomnia. The only reason why I'm on this camera right now at 4:40 in the morning, 4:44, 4:04 is because I've held off on this topic, guys. You think that while I'm not on here, if I didn't know this was happening, of course I knew what the fuck was going on. Of course I've seen all the Elon tweets. Of course I've seen all this shit, guys, but it's just like we still have responsibilities, you know what I'm saying? Like, we still have to feed ourselves, we still have to work, we all are still having to live regular life, at least here in the Western world, at least here over here in Asia and Africa and America and in the Europe. So we don't have that privilege of just saying pause life. I got a real epiphany, my friends. Life is gonna carry on whether we're here or not. Like, the world is gonna keep, unless, of course, we all die in a nuclear war, but even if it does get that bad, you know what I'm saying? And, like, inevitably, like, we're all gonna feel it in some capacity, or at least witness it in some capacity. Maybe not feel, but we're gonna witness what's happening in the world. and there's not much we can do. So, my message to my subscribers is take care of your health. You know your limits, know what you can and cannot handle. Some people, they can't watch the news because it gives them anxiety, and it's just wisdom for someone to not watch the news because they have bad anxiety. It's kind of common sense. So I take my own advice, guys. I know my limits, and it's not that I don't want to be on here. And, like I said, whatever I upload, whatever I end up doing, whatever I end up showing you guys, um, I will show. You see what I'm saying? Like, it will come up. But I know my limits. And so I am not the kind of person, guys, who is gonna be watching the news 24/7. In fact, maybe somebody else right now would go on Al Jazeera, you know what I'm saying, or go on any other news network and, you know, start playing stuff and maybe people are freaking out, I mean, I've seen the posts, some people are freaking out, sadly. But humbly, I just wanna tell you guys that there's not much we can do. Um, and that should free you. If you're somebody watching me, you never, been on my channel before, that should free you that you don't have control over these things. And you just brace for impact. You mentally prepare for the worst of the worst of the worst. That's what I've done. Like I had a feeling that something was going to happen to the world, and it was leaning more towards chemical warfare. And then, of course, right after New Year's Eve and right into the new year, then we had the pandemic. We had the global pandemic. And that New Year's Eve, before everything kicked off, even the year before, I had a very bad feeling, guys. And I wasn't as outgoing, I wasn't 444 on the clock, 44 4 I wasn't, just out there willy nilly, you know what I'm saying? And it was when first it was in China, right? They claim it started off in China, and then it was like spreading, and then before you know it, millions of people have lost their lives to a virus, you know, and it's no different than now. It's like a lot of us have had these feelings, these premonition like feelings, these gut wrenching feelings of there's bad things around the corner, and but I will say is like, and not in a religious sense, but just in a practical spiritual sense, when you do believe in God, when you have a connection to God, and you trust what you're being shown, um, you don't panic as much as other people, and I'm not panicked. If you can't realize, like I'm not bothered because this is something from 2016, literally 2016, that I have been prepared for, and I have done my best to prepare you all. And so you don't have to scroll too far. You go back to my recent videos and you'll see it there. You're literally gonna see it there, of countless, not just warnings, not just downloads, but messages of me telling you guys the end is near. And so I was waiting. I was waiting to come on here and talk about this because I knew that, sadly, that this is where we were building up to, you know. Um, this is the direction it was heading into, and by God's grace, if any of us, and I mean any of us, are in a chemical zone or a bad place, with God's mercy, He'll keep us all in His arms and in good safety and goodwill, um, and we'll be fine. You know what I'm saying? And if we're not, at least we know where we end up. And if you're watching me and you don't know where you're gonna end up, then I suggest you get going on that, because the possibility of dying is very high. And That's for all of us, quite frankly. So I'm not panicked. I'm not shocked. I don't have insomnia. As you can see, I'm fighting my eyes closing right now. I'm ready to go back to sleep. I will go back to sleep, and I encourage you all to do the same. Especially if you're working, if you got kids, you got mouths to feed, you got yourself to take care of. Do not stay up all night, guys, and obsess over this. There's nothing we can do. And I'm telling you guys this genuinely. The only thing you can do is prepare it in the way you see fit. I'm not gonna go out here and tell you guys what to do. I mean, you can get not an N95, but you can get a mask where a lot of reporters um that we've seen, they have those masks where there's like these two, things here and one thing here, and they talk through here. And, I mean, a little willy nilly, N95 is not going to do it if you're in a chemical war zone. If there's a bunch of chemicals in the air and you can't breathe, you're fucked. So, practical things you can get in place, you can get in place, right? But everything else, like, there is no control. There is no control. And so my heart goes out to everybody who, is genuinely innocent, and has not wished evil on anyone and has suffered because of this, not just with Gaza, but now other regions, other places, and it's sad. It's beyond sad, but it's not surprising for me. And what I really, really want people to do is go back to those videos, go back to those so-called dreams, for lack of a better term, that I've shared with you all over a 5-year plus span. Go back and watch those videos of last year November that I covered with you all, and then bring it up to speed to now 2025 in June, and you'll see that this is not anything new. This is not anything new. I've told you guys, and my heart just goes out to those babies and children and pets that, you know, either are gone because of it or are gonna be. And America is not exempt. I think people need to get their head out of their ass, just because we have a humongous military doesn't mean that they won't try something. They may still, and we don't know what Israel's gonna do in response. I don't Do we even wanna know what they're gonna do in response? I don't think we do. But like I said, this is inevitable, guys. So anyway, my eyes are closing on me. I think it's time to leave this live stream for now. I will probably be live um at the next juncture. Um, like I said, I was holding off on this, you know what I'm saying? Because I much rather post Beyonce concert footage. I have a lot of Beyonce concert footage of her Cowboy Carter tour. Finally, she won album of the year, AOTY, the most decorated Grammy Award winner on the face of the planet is a Black American woman. Her name is Beyonce Knowles Carter, and she's breaking records, and it's just like I said, timing is everything. She's doing a tour with themes about America, you know, and then I was saying earlier yesterday about Oppenheimer, how Christopher Nolan, the British director and writer and producer and everything else, you know, with Killian Murphy, one of my favorite right now, probably if not my favorite actor right now, one of right now on the scene, and you know, won his first ever Oscar for leading actor as playing who? The father of the atomic bomb, and then less than, you know, over a decade prior, he played a physicist in another film. And then fast forward over a decade later, he's playing another physicist, the most famous physicist in terms of the father of the atomic bomb the world's ever seen. And so you can't tell me shit's not predestined, guys. A lot of shit just is just too coincidental for me, you know? And once again, that should give you guys peace, because nothing's a coincidence. Nothing's just a oopsie daisy. These are all things that I personally feel already pre-written, predestined to happen. So get a good sleep, you all. I'm not gonna make any fake promises, especially if there's gonna be like back-to-back crazy headlines. I'm not gonna put myself in a position to tell you guys, "Oh, yeah, I'm gonna be back on later on today," because I may not be, right? I still have to work like the rest of everybody else out here. I still have responsibilities. I have now my health, with my period, woman out here know how that is. The first couple of days can be hard sometimes, and you're bloated or you're whatever, you have all these different symptoms, and luckily I don't have that. I just have, I'm just tired. You know what I'm saying? And I have to prioritize my health, and yeah, this is stressful. You know what I'm saying? This is definitely stressful, that, very stressful times we're living in. And once again, there's nothing we can do. We either, get through it or we die. And we may do both. We may still get through it, but then eventually we are, well, if you believe in the rapture, but if you don't believe in the rapture, then we perish. And if we survive a nuclear war, well, chances are of the hardship will be higher, because naturally you're in fucking war. So there's not really anything to spin, guys. It's unfortunate. And, you know, we've not gotten a break. You know, since the global pandemic, we've not gotten a chance to just be and breathe. And so, because, like all of us out here, we've still had to pay bills and still cook. And if you have kids, still raise your kids. Or if you're a spouse or you're dating somebody, or whatever, like you're having to still cater to the demands of life. And the heart message I want to impart on all of you guys watching me is to just do better and take care of yourself and let it go. The world that you thought you were going to grow up in or have kids in or work in doesn't exist. I've even heard pastors say this, that, you know, we've prepared a generation to go to college and graduate into a field that AI is on the docket. You know what I'm saying? Like, our world has changed literally overnight, and things that we put stock in, things that we wanted to work out, didn't and are not, because we're in the, if you want to use a term for it, we're in the last days. And like I said, there's something we could do to slow it down. Um, there's a lot of injustice happening, and a lot of people are just, they're praying. They're literally praying that, um, you know, this won't happen, but it's happening, guys. And so this is a time where people have to decide if they're gonna, you know, be calm or they're gonna freak out. And people are gonna freak out, and you have to mentally prepare yourself, you all, for that possibility too. And I would even say, especially for those in America, um, don't think that we're exempt, because we're not. We're not exempt. We may, like I said, we may have all this itinerary, but it don't mean that we can't get blown and bombed to smithereens. We still could, guys. They still could. Something still could happen to us. Russia and China are supposed to be friends to Iran, or supporters at least, or they have a pact. And you know what? I am gonna say that I feel vindicated, because even with family and close ones, I've told them, like, I feel we're gonna get invaded. I said this last year, to my own people, and they didn't deny what I was saying, but they were kind of alarmed. And you know, are they alarmed now? Everything I was saying is happening. So yeah, I'm tired, guys. I'm gonna go to sleep. Okay. Um, I wish us all the best. I will, if I feel led to, whenever I get a chance. I'm certainly not gonna stress about it. Um, I'll be on here, but get a good rest, guys, okay? Those who were also woken up in their sleep, just try to get a good rest, okay? Love you guys. Bye.